Hi, today I'm going to talk about how people configure their audiences when they communicate. And to start with an illustrative example, suppose you've called a meeting, and what's probably intuitive to you, and well established in the literature, is that your decisions about what to say as you kick off the discussion, so what intentions you choose to convey, what words you use, and so forth, are all shaped by who's in the room. So to speak, they're designed to suit this audience. But if you think about it, you made many other communicative choices beyond what to say, and in fact, as the person who called the meeting, you've decided who to let into the room. You might have also decided how to structure this group of participants by assigning them roles like spokespeople or facilitators, or by just arranging the chairs. Halfway through, you might pull someone aside and have a side conversation. And all of these choices configure the audience. Now, this isn't just a matter of moving around chairs in a room. If you've decided in the year 2020 to have a meeting online, you could send out invitations, privately message select participants, and so forth. So in our paper, we formulate a general description of audience configuration choices, and we build on the aspects that I just illustrated with this example of calling a meeting. And so what we argue is that when we analyze communication behaviors, focusing on audience configurations is an informative and important complement to other analyses on, for instance, how people design the content of their messages. Because, it might be tempting to pass off configuration choices as merely the metadata, but when you set up a meeting with someone, but also install their boss or advisor or department chair in the back of the room, that says something, even if the department chair never says a word. Now, these choices are especially relevant in settings where people have a lot of leverage in specifying their audience, and we take email as a demonstrative case study. Every time you start a new email thread, you make configuration choices along several dimensions. You decide who to send the email to, how the addressees are organized among the to and CC fields, and when you reply, you could remove people or add new participants. And what's illustrative in emailing is that these choices are quite granular, and they're explicit to everyone involved, so think of the blatant faux pas of an ill-advised reply all. And if we only focus on the content of the email message, we'd have a crucially incomplete view of emailing. So we put these ideas into practice in a dataset of emails sent between employees of a now-defunct tech company, and we examine how audience configurations, as instantiated in these email sending choices, are tied to other aspects of the communication. And just to pick one of these aspects, understanding which emails are more likely to get replied to could be helpful for email users. And past work, actually on this corpus, has found that this relates to the number of addressees in this U-shaped curve. So out of all emails with 4 addressees, for instance, around 47% get at least one reply. But that analysis doesn't quite distinguish how these 4 addressees are arranged, and as we've established, an email sender can actually make more granular choices here. So let's contrast 2 prominent cases. Either everyone is in to, or exactly one person is singled out with the rest in CC. And what we see is that the trend, if there's simply more and more people in to, is actually quite different from the trend if one person is singled out from an increasingly larger group of recipients in CC. And this distinction could be informative for email users, interface designers, and communication scholars. Now, having revealed this gap by taking this finer-grained view, we can then maybe dig further into where it comes from. Perhaps it reflects different purposes for emailing that are tied to different configurations, or perhaps the responsibility for responding diffuses across recipients if you don't single anyone out. We can also look more closely at which of these addressees tends to do most of the replying, and our paper examines some of these intricacies more closely. And of course, audience configuration choices intersect with many other parts of the communication, so the types of people involved, what was said, and so forth, and our paper examines some of these aspects too. And we think that explicitly highlighting this aspect of communicating is generative of a rich set of questions, including and beyond the ones that we've explored, such as the motivations of the people involved, or how these configuration choices intersect with other types of communicative decisions, like the choice of message and medium. And this enriched view will continue to have practical relevance across channels like email or group chat or online meetings, which further enable choices like how to configure an audience. Now, I encourage you to check out our paper, which offers a lot more framing for these types of questions, and I'm also happy to chat with the audience. Thanks.